Hi everybody, this is Jessica from the Boyer Sisters blog, and today we are going to be talking Brows 101. Alright, so first things first, I want to go over a little bit of brow history with you all, starting with the 1920s, whenever women thinly plucked their eyebrows into little, small lines above their eyes, and that was a very severe way to manicure your eyebrows, and I think it looks lovely on some ladies, and on other ladies, it's just kind of out of place. I've seen a lot of vintage bloggers do that, and some of them really pull it off well, and others, I'm just not so sure. Then moving on from the 20s and 30s to the 40s, you have a fuller eyebrow, and the women of that era really made their brows very natural. They didn't mess around too much with them. It was a very industrial age, and they were focused on a lot of other more important things, and so their eyebrows kind of weren't the main focus so much. Moving on to the 50s, eyebrows became very elegant and full and extremely manicured, and that carried on into the 60s, and I think that those eyebrows were quite elegant and lovely. Moving on into the 70s, you kind of saw the tadpole shape a little bit, and you saw heavily plucked eyebrows. It was all about like the skin underneath, and just kind of showing that part off. They would use a lot of glittery eyeshadows and really enhance their eyes, and the eyebrows were not so much the focus. Then you go on into the 80s, and the bushier the better is what I've read, what I've seen. My mom had them, my aunt had them, everybody from the 80s just had big hair and big eyebrows. And then you move on to the 90s, and everybody kind of went back to, I don't know, kind of over plucking their eyebrows. It was just it seemed very severe. Whatever anybody did with their eyebrows, it seemed severe. So I want to talk about how you can enhance your eyebrows, and going from the eras that I just talked about, I think there are some lessons that we can gain from them and some no-nos that we shouldn't do. One thing I've learned as I've gone through my teen years is to not do the tadpole look. I did do that early on. Mom gave me a pair of tweezers and she said, "You can pluck your eyebrows now," and I went to town, and that was not a good idea. I actually plucked out a lot of hair right here, and so there was just like this kind of a tadpole eyebrow above my eye, and everything was super thin out here, and I had to use a pencil all the time or else it just looks silly. So I have since then grown out the hairs, and I have a thicker eyebrow. This is a little bit thicker right over here. I never touch underneath right here. I only go at the outer corners. That's the only place that I pluck, and I sort of clean up places right around here, like right underneath here. I'll get some hairs, and right here, and that's about it. For those of you who may have moles or beauty marks, as I like to call them, like I do take all the hairs out of them, and sometimes I will take some wacky hairs, because I do get some really crazy hairs that grow right here. I'll just pluck those out, and then I'll fill it in, as I'll show you in a little bit, with powder or a pencil, depending on the look that I'm doing. So really, you want to enhance your eyebrows and not over exaggerate them or manipulate them to a totally different shape than what you were naturally given. Really, you don't want a distraction, and sometimes eyebrows can be a distraction. I would highly encourage you to really study your eyebrows one day whenever you have time, and just figure out where's the basic shape and then finesse it and don't do anything else. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I touch up my eyebrows and complete my makeup look for an everyday look. The product that I use regularly is Fairy Minerals, and the color is Phoenix, and it's a nice light brown, warm tinted color. It's actually an eyeshadow, but I use it as a brow powder just because it goes with my natural hair color. All I do is I start right under here and I start filling in any of the cracks, let's call them, between the hairs so that it has a more uniform look, and then I'll just brush that up into the rest of the brow, mostly focusing on the bottom. And once I have that satisfactorily done, I will move on to the arch. I'll start up here and kind of make a nice structure up there, and then I'll come down the side, just lightly brushing and filling in, and I'm pushing down the hairs as I'm going. Sometimes I will use a brow brush like this to push the hairs down, but not always. I will use this to push them back up into place after I'm all done with the powder. So just to finish up here to get a nice shape. And that's pretty much done with that eyebrow. And then I'll just push that back up and brush all the hairs in place for a uniform brow. Moving on to my left eyebrow, this one is a little bit more tricky. So again, I start at the bottom and work my way up into the brow. Then I work my way this way, and now comes the tricky bit. I have to put a little bit of extra powder, and if you're using a pencil and you're following along with this, the best way to use a pencil is to use light strokes, and don't ever do heavy, or else you're going to have really heavy eyebrows. Alright, so more powder here on the brush, and starting right below the mole, I will just really fill that in and then work my way down the side. I'll put some more. It's a funny area of my eyebrow. It's not exactly the same as the other one. The hair just grows differently, and that's okay. You don't have to have perfect eyebrows because then it gives you a more natural look. I find that eyebrows look best whenever they're sisters and not twins, as somebody once told me, and it's really true, because if you have like perfect eyebrows, you just look like you're a Barbie doll, and you know, there's nothing natural about that. So having imperfect eyebrows, I think, makes you look even more beautiful. Alright everyone, that is the finished look. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Click down below to subscribe to our channel and see what else is in store. Have a wonderful day. Bye!